We're now moving on to the AGM portion of the afternoon. We hope you stay on, but if you do have some other commitments, we really thank you for attending the webinar, and we hope to be in contact soon. The first item is acceptance of the minutes from the 2024 Annual General Meeting. A copy of those draft minutes has been circulated to everybody by email to all those people that have registered for today. If there are any questions, please put them forward. Otherwise, I will call for a mover and a seconder to move for the acceptance of those minutes. Each of those people need to have attended that meeting and have seen the draft minutes.
Also move.
Thank you, Barry. Do I have a seconder?
Elisabeth Dark, I think, is indicating.
Yes, Elisabeth was nodding her head. Yep, that's great. Thank you. Thanks, Elisabeth. I now call on all those attending the meeting to indicate their agreement to the acceptance of the minutes, the 2024 AGM minutes, by raising their hand. If they have their video on, you can just raise your hand. We'll see it. If you don't, please raise your hand via the emoji, just so we can do a quick count. Thank you. Thank you, Barry. Would you agree that we have a majority there?
Well, we can call for those against and see if we get a counter offer. I can only count about 6 or 7. It's pretty hard
Okay.
to do this
I saw a bit more than that. Are there any people that are against that motion? I can see one hand up. No, that hand is gone. Okay, thank you very much.
It's unanimous.
Yep, I declare the motion carried and declare the minutes accepted. Thank you. We'll now move to the formal reports for the meeting. So I'm now going to present, first of all, the Chair's report. Okay. I don't have slides for this, by the way, so you'll just have to put up with me for a few minutes. Our branch is one of the larger branches of BirdLife Australia. We are essentially autonomous and conduct a range of state-based and local initiatives, as well as supporting the strategies and programs of BirdLife Australia at a national level. There are many people I would like to thank, and I know I won't be able to do them all justice. Firstly, a huge thank you to all of our volunteers who are the lifeblood of everything we do. And I cannot emphasize enough what an amazing contribution all these unsung heroes make, usually without any public recognition. And this includes my and our very committed and capable branch committee members. Thank you for all the effort that you all put in. Thank you in particular also to Elisabeth Dark for her safe stewardship of the branch until the AGM last year. And we are very pleased that Elisabeth continues to lead our conservation subcommittee and be involved more broadly. Thank you also to Barry for his huge contribution as secretary. And Barry, if you don't know, has fingers in many pies across the branch, and we're very grateful for his time specifically. I'd also like to just thank Debbie Harris for over a decade of commitment as the Discovery Centre volunteer coordinator, and Debbie stepped down towards the end of last year. Thank you also to the BirdLife Australia staff for all the work they do and the support they provide. We work with many of them quite closely. The Honorary Life Membership of BirdLife Australia is the highest award available to members for their contribution to the organisation. And I have great pleasure in congratulating 2 of our very long-standing branch committee members, Judy Harrington and Ian Patterson, and the Cowra Woodlands Birds Program co-founder, John Rankin, on their nominations for this award for their immense contributions they have made to bird conservation. We have 3 subcommittees, all very active. The first is the Conservation Committee, chaired by Elisabeth Dark, who will be giving a short presentation after me. Our Programs and Activities Subcommittee is led by Judy Harrington. The primary goal of this subcommittee is to inspire and help people take action for birds. And the activities are many, including education programs, displays, outreach activities, talks and walks, and river cleanups. We conducted activities with 7 councils, the Parramatta River Action Group. We partnered with Cumberland Bird Observers Club to do nestling walks for kids. We participated again at the National Indigenous Science Education Program and ran a shorebird event with Bundina Progress Association. And that's not the full list. The BirdLife Discovery Centre, led by our volunteer coordinator, Debbie Harris until last year, and now by Julie Fitness, offers a variety of ways for people to learn about and to see and engage with birds. Staffed by volunteers, we are open every Sunday with guided bird walks offered on the last Sunday of every month. Our communications subcommittee, led by Barry, is a work in progress. We have initiated efforts during 2024 and ongoing this year to start rebuilding our social media capabilities, and we hope to give our website a bit of a refresh and an update over the next year, we hope. Our monthly newsletter, edited and collated by Barry, has been significantly upgraded and is distributed to about 6,300, 6,400 to fine-tune it every month. We distribute it. We ran the webinar in conjunction with last year's AGM and established a calendar of events and have published some great photos as part of our new Photo of the Month initiative. We have 7 active projects, which are all led by members of our branch committee. The Kapiti Valley Region Honeyeater Recovery Project, which is its full name, has been led by Ian Patterson, and Joy in her presentation is associated with this project. This is one of our longest running initiatives. 2024 marked 30 years since the tree planting began, and planting weekends are held twice a year and are well attended. And the project forms part of a national recovery program for the critically endangered region honeyeater. It's funded by the National Heritage Trust, and it's delivered by the Central Tablelands Local Land Services. To date, the total area which has been revegetated is almost 300 hectares, and over 148,000 seedlings have been planted, just to give you some idea of the scope. The Cowra Woodland Birds Program is one of the 3 longest running woodland bird programs in Australia, and until recently was completely volunteer run. Quarterly surveys are conducted on over 90 sites, and restoration and revegetation work on public and private land occurs in the Cowra region. The project has built up an invaluable data asset to assess and review population trends of woodland birds in that area. Jaden Gunn, who is one of the BirdLife Australia's project officers for the Birds on Farms project, is now supporting the organisation of the survey weekends. A major effort has been made during 2024 and ongoing this year to refresh all the instruction booklets used by volunteers. During the year, we actually lost 4 of our private sites, but we did gain 5 new ones. So there's a little bit of movement on the sites. After a quarter century of stewardship, John Rankin passed on the chair of the committee to Jenny Nichols, who is on our branch committee. The Richmond Woodlands KBA project, which you've now heard about, is led by Dan Vickers, and supporting our long-time Richmond Guardian and surveyor, Ian Bailey. The project's main aim, as you've heard, has been to help improve conservation outcomes for woodland birds through increased awareness and increasing survey frequency. With our partners, we've designed and installed 6 signs to date, and hopefully with another one to come shortly. And we look forward to working with Roger and Ricky as the new guardians, and Bales' continued support as we move on. Mason Park Wetlands is led by Elisabeth Dark. We have renewed what is now our second MOU with Strathfield Council for a second 3-year period, and we continue our wetland working bees to remove mangrove seedlings and the juvenile mangroves. In 2024, Strathfield Council was successful in winning a $1.8 million funding commitment to upgrade the sluice gates to improve tidal flows and therefore improving water quality in the wetland. And we are hoping that the salt marsh wetlands will once again become an important feeding and roosting habitat for both migratory shorebirds and for wetland birds. The famous Eagle Camp project, led by Judy Harrington, is entirely funded by supporters in Australia and overseas to maintain and purchase equipment, and our dedicated volunteers continue to manage all aspects of that project. Thank you to them all. The breeding season daily notes, particularly when there are fledglings around, continue to be posted on the Seagull Cam website and on Facebook. The Parramatta River Shorebird Counts has been running for quite some time. It's coordinated by Jerry Dwayne. And shorebird monitoring is done by volunteers across a number of sites on the Parramatta River, and results from those surveys are uploaded to Bird Data as part of the National Shorebirds Program. And then finally, Sydney Shorebirds Project has emerged as a significant conservation action for our Conservation Committee. It's aimed at protecting resident and migratory shorebirds, and we've been working to try and protect Deben Split and the adjacent tidal flats in Port Hacking and Tower Point, and other shorebird sites in Botany Bay. We have prepared submissions for the expansion of Royal National Park to include Deben Split and the adjacent tidal flats, and have had communications with New South Wales Environment Minister Penny Sharp and Mary Ann Stewart, who is the State MP for Heathcote. We've campaigned to the Sutherland Shire Council. We've presented at a habitat forum organised by the Sutherland Shire Environment Centre, and we have been supported by Friends of the Royal National Park. We've initiated well-attended monthly birding walks to raise the profile of shorebirds in Port Hacking. There are some other specific initiatives and events I'd like to cover off. To commemorate the 30th anniversary milestone for the Kapiti Valley tree planting weekends, we commissioned Kath Warwick, who is on our committee, one of our branch committee members and an avid bird artist, to design a fabulous hand-printed commemorative tea towel. And this has been the foundation of a very successful fundraising initiative for us. The money from that commemorative tea towel effort goes to many of our different projects, and we're very grateful. Kath and Bobbin and Inc. have donated their time and effort to support us in this initiative. Hunters Hill Council contracted us to conduct bird surveys across 7 bushland reserve sites. Our branch committee member, Kathy Goswell, designed and organised the surveys, and more than 39 different species were identified. And we're hopeful that they would like us to come back and do the second round of that in the next short time. The committee continues to participate in the biannual BigNet, which is the Bird Interest Group Network meetings, joining other New South Wales bird groups, in particular the other New South Wales branches, in discussing conservation issues and other matters of common interest. One of our wonderful supporters, Kylie Cramsey, initiated and ran a very successful bird-themed dinner and trivia evening. Kylie donated all of the proceeds to BirdLife Southern New South Wales, and the funds went to supporting our Richmond KBA project. We had Westpac approached us, and their IT team ran a corporate event during which they built 40 bird nesting boxes, which have since been donated to us and have made their way down to a private property on the New South Wales south coast. The owners of that property are undertaking a significant rewilding exercise. Thanks to the Westpac team for their generous efforts, and we will give you some more information on that during the year as that progresses. Our 2025 supporter survey was developed last year, ready for distribution to members and supporters in 2025. To our knowledge, a survey like this has not been done previously, and we look forward to getting some insights from that to help increase our engagement with our many supporters. That's it for me. I encourage you to read our annual report to get some more in-depth coverage. And I will now hand over to Elisabeth Dark to give us the conservation report.
You're muted,
Elisabeth, you're on mute. Sorry.
Firstly, about the committee itself, we had 6 to 8 members, including 2 who joined last year. Their names are in the full report that David gave a summary of. And thank you to all involved during last year. Most of us are Sydney-based, and we are still keen for more members from regional areas. We are very fortunate to have a whole committee rather than a single person for conservation issues. That enables us to be very active on a range of areas. We do welcome offers to plug our knowledge gaps, especially professional expertise in ecology and local government planning processes. So if anyone is thinking, I have those skills and some time to spare, please let us know. So about our actions over last year. So the biggest challenge for bird conservation across Australia continues to be the inadequacy of our nature laws. Last year, we continued to be active in advocating for replacing the federal EPBC Act, following the guidance of BirdLife National Office. Southern New South Wales is very significant in this campaign because this state contains 47 federal electorates, and we believe we're the most active of BirdLife's branches in this advocacy. Our effort has been led by Kathy Goswell. We collaborate with allies, for a number of activities. The Australian Conservation Foundation Eastern Suburbs Group held a well-attended Q&A in May with local political candidates, where we started an information stall. In July, the ACF's Greater Western Sydney Group drafted letters to 16 local federal MPs asking for commitments on stronger nature laws. These were co-signed by us, plus other conservation groups active in that region of Sydney, and follow-up contact requested in-person meetings. A significant branch contingent participated in the 5th of October March for Nature in Sydney, organised by a range of groups, to precede the Nature Positive Summit. We made Southern New South Wales T-shirts for the rally, which Barry coordinated that, and we also brought along some creative props. 9 submissions were made in 2024, predominantly by Barry. They were about port hacking shorebirds, several letters to Environment Minister Sharp, Sutton Forest sand mining proposal, Illawarra offshore wind area, threat abatement plan for feral and domestic cats, New South Wales Upper House inquiry into impacts of climate change on the environment and communities, the draft Homebush Bay West DCP, the Moorabbin coal mine expansion, the expansion of Royal National Park to include Deeben Spit and intertidal flats, which was a joint proposal with the National Parks Association. And finally, New South Wales Independent Forestry Panel public consultation. The committee also provided assistance, including information to individual residents at Coaldale and Farquhar Inlet about pied oyster catchers and little terns being harassed by off-leash dogs. Also, support for a residents' action group in Earlwood wanting transfer of Crown land to National Park, and a request by Strathfield Council for advice about tree hollows. Issues that we take up sometimes evolve into independent projects with a dedicated coordinator. Richmond Woodlands KBA signage is an example from last year, led by Dan Vickers. And finally, just a few words about a major conservation action outlined by David in his report, the Southern Sydney migratory shorebirds. So we continued working with local groups, experts and concerned individuals to protect the tidal flats and shorebird high tide roost in Port Hacking and Botany Bay. I'm mentioning this because it's taken a lot of our time and energy, and last year we had hoped to achieve more tangible progress by the end of the year. So after a lot of constructive action in 2024, perhaps there'll be some favourable outcomes in 2025. Thank you.
Thanks, Elisabeth. Chris, would you like to give the finance report?
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Chris Kelly. So I recently joined the BirdLife Southern New South Wales Committee as the Treasurer, and I took over from David, and I thank David for his ongoing support and particularly for the very thorough handover, and he's built up a lot of documentation which has been very helpful for me. So this report summarises the branch's financial position for the year ending 31st of December 2024. So the key items from our financial reports for that year are our total assets are sitting at $213,441. This is actually an increase of over 32,000 since last year. The total assets that are tied to actual projects is 64,342, which is 30% of our assets. And the total banked assets are just under 212,000, which is also an increase of 31,000 since last year. In terms of our profit and loss, our total income last year was 86,220, and the income which was tied to projects was 51,842, so 60% of our income was related to specific projects that we manage. And our total expenses was 51,200, and of those, 70% of those were tied to projects, so 35,786. So our operating net profit was a slight loss of just $2,000, which is a significant change to last year where our loss was 29,000. So just a brief commentary. The branch's financial position has improved relative to 2023, with the current operating deficit significantly reduced and now just 2,000 as mentioned. This is predominantly due to the unexpected but very welcome income from sales of the Regent Honeyeater project 30-year commemorative tea towels that we just mentioned. So that's been a huge success with sales of over $20,000. We've also had some good income through consultancy, $3,400, and running events and workshops, $4,000, and we do get some bank interest of over $4,000 a year. The percentage of funds, income and expenses which are dedicated to there's the 4 major projects that our branch actually manages and we track the expenses for. As I said, that's 30% of our assets and 60% of our income is tied to the 4 major projects that we manage. The total assets and total bank and total income includes, just so you know, a prior unspent and tied donations. So those are carried over from the previous year. And also unspent project funds and research grants. And so that materially reduces the money related to income by the 60%. Significant project-related transactions for 2024 included income of donations, mainly towards the Sea Eagle camera. Maintenance and upgrade of the Sea Eagle camera was one of the major expenses. The Regent Honeyeater project grant was received, and this was a significant income. And then, of course, there's expenditures involved with the planting weekend and project management. There were some expenses for the Carra Woodland Birds program in terms of fencing sites and events. Other transactions that were significant for 2024 were consultancy and event revenue, admin and finance expenses for the Discovery Centre maintenance and consumables and upgrading, merchandise sales and income, that was the Regent Honeyeater tea towels, and also the costs, of course, involved with producing the tea towels. Network support funds from the National Office were received, and of course the bank interest and bank fees paid. And just to mention again, our bank accounts haven't changed. We've still got the 2 operating accounts, operating accounts which hold funds which are expected to be dispersed in the near term. 2 investment accounts where we hold funds which we aren't expecting to be spending soon, so they're earning interest. And there is a separate account which is for receiving the donations. So in terms of our 2025 outlook, we did lose our office manager in 2024, which did require a period of adjustment and new ways of working for finance, but we have adapted well. And I'd like to thank the National Office, who in recent months have really helped us to get our efficiency back on track. And so particular thanks to National Office Finance Group for their ongoing support. There's no significant changes to our financial position for the first quarter of 2025. So it looks like we're on track to remain on track for the remainder of this year. Thanks.
Thank you, Elisabeth and Chris. Are there any questions from anybody about any of the reports? I'm just looking to make sure there's no hands popping up. Nobody's still on mute and trying to talk. Okay, great. Thank you. Just a reminder that we will upload the annual general meeting reports and the draft minutes to the BirdLife library and to the branch's Google folder, and we'll provide that link via email to everybody who's registered for today. The links will also be provided by our BirdLife Southern New South Wales newsletter, so you should be able to have a look through them at a later date if you would like to. We now move into the election portion of the meeting. I declare that the current management committee is dissolved, and I pass over to Elisabeth Hodson, who has kindly agreed to be our returning officer.
My name is Elisabeth Hodson. As returning officer, I will follow the procedure established by the branch committee as set out in the document called our committee guidelines. And these are, if there are not more than 12 nominations received by the branch committee, then under our rules, all nominees will be appointed. If there are more than 12 nominations, an election is required. Our rules also specify that existing committee members are deemed to be renominated unless they indicate that they do not want to continue on the committee. We had 13 committee members deemed to be renominated in this way, including persons who had been co-opted to the committee under our rules since the last AGM. The Secretary determined that on the 28th of April 2025 be the closing date for nominations, and on that date, 2 new nominations had been received. The names of these nominees are Peter Thorne and Christine Drummond. Since those nominations were received, 3 existing members of the committee indicated that they would withdraw their nominations. They are Ian Bailey, Ian Patterson, and Janice Ward. Accordingly, there are only 12 nominees still current. I declare the following to be nominated without need for an election. Elisabeth Dark, Christine Drummond, Julie Fitness, Kathy Goswell, Judy Harrington, Chris Kelly, David Marquard, Jenny Nichols, Peter Thorne, Daniel Vickers, Barry Walsh, Catherine Warwick. And finally, the branch guidelines state that the office bearers' positions of Chair, Secretary and Treasurer will be chosen by the majority vote of committee members at the first meeting of the new committee. I will now hand over to David Marquard, member of the new committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Elisabeth. I will just take a moment as the previous chair to thank Bales, Ian and Janice for their time on the committee, and more will be said about this in due course, but thank you very much. We are all volunteers and we're all grateful. I call the formal meeting to a close. As mentioned, we will upload the AGM reports and minutes to the BirdLife library and we'll provide that link. Thank you very much for attending. We were very pleased to have you on board. I ask that all committee members please just stay online